I genuinely think Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is Game of the Year. At least for me it is, but sadly not everyone agrees. So I thought it would be a fun idea to dive into some negative reviews and comments that people have left about one of my favorite games of all time, and let's just see what they have to say. Hi, my name is Tanya, and if you also used a million tissues during your playthrough of Expedition 33, leave a like on this video, comment down below your overall thoughts of the game, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and where I just share my love for video games. Just a quick note before we get started, everything I say about the comments we look at today comes from the perspective of someone who just really enjoys Clair Obscur. The main goal here is to have some fun, so let's just keep things light. It's totally okay to disagree, but there's just no need for arguments with one another. And with all that said, let's get into it. Okay, so all the comments that I did find were off of Steam reviews or Metacritic. I have them all on my phone, so I will be reading them off of here, and I'll put all the screenshots of the reviews during the editing process. But let's start with comment number 1. It's very short, simple, and not the sweetest, but it says, turn-based bore fest that looks so cheap. Okay. This was actually one of the first comments I came across when beginning to research for the video, and I've got to admit I'm a little confused by it. Personally, I think the combat is super fun. The QTEs, the dodge, and the parry mechanics, it all makes battles, for me at least, feel really dynamic. I've always enjoyed turn-based games, but I feel like this one in particular is pulling in people who don't usually click with that style. Of course, not everyone's going to love the combat, and that's totally fair, but calling it a bore fest and saying it looks cheap, that honestly really caught me off guard. The visual style in Clair Obscur is like anything but cheap. It's incredibly artistic. I feel like the game has like this beautiful dream aesthetic reminiscent of like an oil painting or a watercolor painting, and plus the animations, especially in combat, are smooth, expressive, and full of personality. It's generally one of the most visually unique games I feel like I've seen in a while. Comment number 2. As soon as you're hitting your stride and getting the synergy working with your team, they completely replace one of your team members. A team member I was really enjoying when it comes to character and playstyle. Replaced with a character that I couldn't care less about with a playstyle that's a lot less fun. I can actually sympathize with this comment a little bit, especially considering how Act 1 ends with Gustav's death. The moment genuinely shocked me. I had a gut feeling something might happen to him eventually, but I definitely didn't expect it to happen that early in the game. His loss hits hard, and I totally get how that could leave some players frustrated, especially since he's essentially replaced by Verso not long after. At first, it can feel like a tough trade, and I understand why that would be off-putting, but looking at the story as a whole, it makes sense narratively. At least for me, it does. And honestly, if you give Verso a real chance, there's a lot to appreciate in how his character grows and fits into the group dynamic. I noticed the comment was made around the 20-hour mark, so I do hope that they stuck with it a little bit longer, because there's so much more to the game that has to offer beyond that moment. I personally wouldn't give the entire game a thumbs down based on that one plot turn, but you know, we love you, Gustav, so I get it. Comment number 3, Gestural Beach Volleyball. I feel like this is a fan favorite for sure. So this one made me laugh a little bit. I totally get that the minigame can be a challenge, because believe me, I think it took me like 15 tries on the final round alone. But you know, I wouldn't go as far as giving the whole game a thumbs down because of it. It's a completely optional thing that you can do to get a reward. But you know, that said, I do agree that the timing can feel kind of off, especially when the gesturals are just flying at you and you're just trying to line up your own shots. It throws off your rhythm a little bit and definitely adds to the difficulty. But for me, I don't know, I just thought it was a challenge to be a challenge, and I wasn't going to let it defeat me. But you know, is it challenging? Yes. Game breaking? No, not at all. Comment number 4. After getting near the end of the game, everything has just become tedious. You'll end up fighting for 30 minutes at a time on trash, where they generate 18 shields per turn even if you perfectly parry all 30 attacks. Honestly, having to parry 30 times per single turn you get is kind of ridiculous. The health of some of the mobs is also just too high. I've honestly lost the will to play because it just isn't fun when it takes that long. Parrying 800 times in a single trash fight is a bit excessive. I saw that this person felt like a lot of the fights towards the end of the game, I'm assuming in Act 3, were just too long and time consuming. According to the comment they left, they were around the 25-hour mark when they got to that point, which makes me think that they might have skipped a lot of optional content earlier on, like optional fights or exploring the map for pictos and other helpful upgrades for their team. If that is the case, then it definitely makes sense why those later battles felt like such a slog. There are so many skills and pictos you can gain along your journey that get rid of shields pretty quickly or can actually allow you to hit the enemy even when the shields are up, but you'd have to go looking for it. I can only really speak from my own experience and from a few others that I have talked to, but none of us really ran into that issue. In fact, by the time I reached Act 3, I was around like the 50-60 hour mark, and things actually felt a little too easy for me. I built my team up so much that I was accidentally one-shotting enemies, and I even had to dial things back to make the fights last longer. But, you know, to be fair, I do love turn-based RPGs and naturally enjoy taking my time to grind and experiment with builds, so that kind of playstyle just really clicks with me. It's a shame that they ended up losing motivation to finish the story because they were honestly just so close, and it sucks that they might have missed out on just a magnificent story to be told. Comment number 5. Okay, this one's a little bit long, so please bear with me. Boring, ugly, and cringe. Play for half an hour, not a second of actual gameplay in it. Tutorial where you can't fail doesn't count. Just characters talking about their emotions, expressing themselves inarticulately, acting like children, talking about how having children is bad, throwing out dumb lines like "she looks so sad" while referencing a character that isn't in frame and which you, the player, has not yet seen. Same character who says having children is bad says she feels sorry for the person killing the children because though she doesn't know what it is, they probably have a good reason to be doing it. And then long cutscenes where characters just stand around while nothing happens. The short moment where everyone gets Thanos snapped out of existence was moving, but again, in a cutscene where nothing happens for 80% of it, but in half an hour, that was literally it. I did not care about a single one of the characters, about the world, and there was no gameplay. And this is what the game chooses to open with. This is the best it has to deliver according to itself. How bored do you have to be to sit through this stuff? I can't with some of these. I noticed this person only played about 40 minutes before writing their comment, and I have to admit, I just really don't agree with much of what you said. Of course, not every game is going to click with everyone, and that's totally okay, but calling it ugly and cringe feels a bit harsh to me, especially since they seem to dislike the very things that are foundational to the game, like the story building and emotional character moments. The prologue of any story is meant to lay down the groundwork, introduce characters, the world, set the tone for what's to come. I don't know, it feels like they were hoping to jump into nonstop action without much narrative buildup, which, I mean, is a valid preference, but it just makes me wonder why they chose this game in the first place, especially since it's been pretty clear that it is heavily inspired by a lot of JRPGs. These kinds of games tend to have a slower pace and a strong emphasis on story and character development, and that's a huge part of the charm. It's a shame this game didn't resonate with them because, you know, in my opinion, they are missing out on one of the most beautiful and well-crafted stories out there. Hopefully they'll find something more suited to their taste, but for those of us who actually played this game, we can't help but feel it really delivers something special. Comment number 6, except I'm gonna post a few that all kind of say the same thing up on the screen right now. I've seen quite a few comments discussing the parry/dodge mechanics and the overall combat in Clair Obscur, and it seems like some people just really don't enjoy that aspect of the game, or just don't want to engage with it at all. And I don't want to be the person that says skill issue, but if taking the time, you really do start to get into the rhythm of the enemies throughout the game and learn their patterns, which is part of the fun, at least for me. I can understand why it would be frustrating though, especially for those who aren't fans of QTEs in general, which does play a big part in the combat. From an accessibility standpoint, I do wish the game had more settings and options to accommodate different playstyles and needs, because Clair Obscur has so much to offer and I'd love for more people to be able to fully experience it. That said though, I actually really enjoyed the parry and dodge mechanics myself. They kept me fully engaged in every fight. I wasn't just watching animations play out like maybe in a more traditional turn-based system. And I had to stay alert, controller in hand, and it made each encounter feel just more interactive and intense for me. It's a big reason why the combat clicked with me so much. I also think that this system has helped change how some people view turn-based games. One of my friends who usually hates turn-based combat and finds it extremely boring actually got completely hooked on Clair Obscur, and I know they are not the only ones. Now I will say there was one optional enemy where the parry and dodge timing felt a bit off, but I think that had more to do with performance issues like frame drops during that specific fight. Aside from that, I genuinely enjoyed every minute of the combat. I even found myself seeking out fights instead of avoiding them, which is why I was at such a high level by the time I got to Act 3 of the game. Comment number 7. This is just a turn-based Souls-like. This isn't a turn-based RPG at all. It shouldn't be discussed as one. In addition, the story is miserable and seems like it was written by a high schooler with cool ideas but no experience writing. I actually dislike lore-heavy stories and adore the show don't tell approach, but the execution here is outright trash. Don't believe the hype. This one is a little tricky to weigh in on just because RPGs have really branched out into so many different styles over time. I think everyone sees RPG elements a bit differently, which makes these kind of conversations interesting. From what I've seen though, Expedition 33 doesn't seem to maybe have a deep ongoing choice system that significantly changes the world or characters throughout the entire game. But that said, there is a major choice at the end that determines how your story wraps up, which is definitely meaningful. For me personally, a game starts to feel like an RPG if I can shape my characters the way that I want, whether that's through builds, customization, or even things like picking outfits, engaging in dialogue choices, and having just a sense of self-insertion. Clair Obscur really hits those notes for me, which is why I consider it to be an RPG. As for the writing and story, this is where I'm honestly baffled. I've seen a few people say they didn't enjoy it, and I don't get it, no matter how hard I try. The narrative, the characters, the emotional beats, it all resonated with me in such a strong way that it's genuinely surprising to hear others felt nothing or were even put off by it. I know stories hit people differently, and that's totally fair, but in this case, it's one of those rare times where I truly cannot see what is missing for them. To me, it's one of the most compelling parts of the game. Comment number 8. This is kind of like earlier where I saw a lot of comments about the parry and dodge mechanics, except this one is about the art style and the UI. I'm just gonna read this quick one because I thought it was kind of funny, but it just says awful, ugly characters, ugly world, bad game design, feels like a PS2 game. I honestly cannot and will not agree with the opinion that says Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has a bad or tacky art style. There's just no way. From the very first moments in the prologue, I was in absolute awe. The way the world is introduced, rich in painterly textures, surreal lighting, and an imaginative architecture, it just felt like I was stepping into a living, breathing painting. It's not just visually impressive, it's emotionally impactful. The color palette, the dreamlike environments, and the dramatic use of contrast all work together to make every scene feel like a piece of fine art. As I continued throughout the journey, that visual magic didn't fade, it evolved. Every new area felt thoughtfully crafted with its own mood and identity, whether it was a quiet setting washed in soft pastels or a chaotic battlefield splashed with bold reds and deep shadows. The game constantly surprised me with its visual storytelling. It's one of those rare games where you want to slow down and just look at everything. Now, if I had to nitpick, the only thing I could slightly agree with is that some parts of the UI, particularly when equipping Pictos and Lumina, could be a bit more intuitive or visually distinct. There were a few moments where I found myself fumbling through the menus or misclicking something, but aesthetic-wise, I love how the UI mirrors the game's overall art direction. The delicate brushstrokes, the subtle textures, and the cohesive artistic flourishes in the menus all help reinforce the sense that you're navigating a world painted by hand. The game's visual identity is so strong, so bold, and so cohesive that calling it anything less than stunning just feels wrong to me. It's rare to see a game where the art style isn't just a backdrop, but a core part of the emotional and narrative experience. Right now it's time for funny comments that I happened to find while researching for this video. The Simon fight honestly makes me hate this game. You know, I can kind of understand that. I don't hate the game, but that fight is, it's hard. The story invalidates everything. What are you saying? Persona for millennial young adult novel readers who hate video games. What? This one's pretty good. Can't have sex with Minoko. I'm not asking you questions because I'm gonna leave that with you. Oh, I found some of these funny because they gave the game a score of 0, yet they said something positive. Just ended the game. This game is a once in a lifetime experience. Story, combat, gameplay, visuals, sound design, game of the year 2025. Gave it a 0. Another one, a long-awaited turn-based game for me. It's such a beautiful, amazing, and outstanding experience. I'm truly enjoying every moment of it. Gave it a 0. I'm sure those were mistakes, but I just found it kind of funny that I found that. All right, those are all the comments I had for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed a few of those. They were definitely some interesting topics as well as some funny ones, but I think it's pretty clear that I am just a huge Clair Obscur Expedition 33 fan. I honestly love this game with all of my heart, and I just want more people to experience this absolute gem and see it the way that I see it. It's been so fun going through these comments together, sharing some laughs and hearing perspectives that are different from mine. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment letting me know which take stood out to you the most, and subscribe for more fun gaming content. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, happy gaming.